Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're cutting through the noise to explore some really fascinating insights.
Yeah, from a text called Elevating the Self, a journey to full humanity.
Exactly. Think of it like a roadmap, maybe not to a fixed destination, but more like a way of being, focusing on what it really means to, grow and thrive as a person.
That's a great way to put it. We've sort of pulled out the core ideas here, looking at the different layers that contribute to becoming more fully human.
Right.
We want to see how these pieces connect and, crucially, what actionable understanding you can take away from this whole journey.
Yes, we're not just summarizing, we're digging in to figure out what fuels this process. So let's start right at the beginning. Where does this path to elevating the self actually kick off?
Okay, so according to the source material, this whole journey starts with something pretty simple, but incredibly powerful.
Which is?
A moment of genuine self-awareness.
Okay.
And it's described not as like judging yourself, praising or criticizing, but simply looking inward with, complete honesty, just to understand.
Understand. That's the key word.
Exactly. And the text really emphasizes that this understanding isn't just some nice-to-have idea. It's the fundamental launch pad for any real lasting change in your life.
Okay.
It's about recognizing who you fundamentally are, stripped away from maybe external expectations or what other people might think about you.
So it's not a quick look in the mirror then?
Definitely not.
The source seems to frame self-awareness as this continuous thing, an ongoing exploration.
Yeah, like constantly checking your internal compass.
Right, identifying strengths you want to lean into, maybe looking at weaknesses you need to address or just accept.
And really nailing down those core values that should be guiding your decisions.
Yeah.
And when you actually dig in and start to understand your true motivations, maybe confront some deep-seated fears and clarify your genuine ambitions.
Okay.
The text suggests you're essentially gathering the tools you need to sculpt the best version of yourself.
I like that. The source uses this great picture here, comparing it to an archaeologist uncovering a buried city.
Oh, I remember that part. Yeah.
Each layer you reveal about yourself unearths more secrets, more treasures that were, always there just waiting.
It's a powerful image. And it really echoes a lot of ancient wisdom, doesn't it?
It does.
The text reminds us that knowing the self is so often cited as the absolute cornerstone of true knowledge and authentic development. Makes you think of philosophers like Socrates.
Know thyself.
Exactly, that famous call.
And it's presented as a very live, active process. It takes, brave honesty, facing reality even when the truths you find aren't exactly comfortable.
Yeah, like a sculptor, the text says, slowly chipping away the excess stone to reveal the form that was kind of always latent within the marble.
And interestingly, the text points out that some of the most profound moments of self-discovery don't happen when things are easy.
Right. Often it's during life's difficult tests.
Reflecting deeply on those challenging experiences can reveal hidden aspects of your personality, your resilience, things you never knew were there.
Absolutely. Now, once you start gaining that foundational self-awareness, the source material immediately moves to what emerges from that understanding.
Which is?
The critical role of your mindset.
Mindset. Yeah, this is huge. The text defines mindset as the actual framework you use to interpret everything, really. Your experiences, how you react when challenges pop up.
How you even dare to envision your future.
Right. And it draws a really sharp distinction, doesn't it, between the fixed mindset,
or you think abilities are static, set in stone,
versus the growth mindset, believing that abilities can expand, they can develop with effort, practice, learning.
And this is where it gets really practical, like you said. The source points out that a fixed mindset often makes you just avoid taking risks.
Because failure feels like definitive proof you're not good enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But a growth mindset.
Yeah.
It completely flips that script.
How so?
Challenges become learning opportunities. Failure isn't the end. It's just feedback. It's fuel to adjust and keep going.
I love the analogy the text uses here, picturing your mind as a garden. The thoughts and beliefs you choose to plant determine what grows. A growth mindset is consciously planting seeds of possibility, resilience, perseverance.
And then nurturing them, watering them with learning, experience, reflection.
That one shift in perspective, it seems to change everything. Obstacles aren't dead ends anymore, they're steps.
Criticism isn't an attack, it's actually a gift for development.
And the effort itself becomes, almost joyful part of the discovery.
Precisely. The joy of improvement.
So with that growth mindset taking root, the source shows how building positive habits becomes the natural next step, shaping your daily reality.
Yeah, habits. Described as these silent, really powerful forces that structure our days.
They're those small, often automatic actions that just compound over time, right? Leading to huge outcomes, good or bad.
Exactly. And understanding why habits stick is so key if you want to change them. The source breaks down that well-known loop.
A habit loop, signal.
Right. The signal or cue tells your brain to go into habit mode. Then there's the routine, the action itself, physical, mental, whatever.
And finally, the reward.
The reward, which reinforces the whole loop. It helps the brain decide, is this worth remembering for the future?
And this loop just becomes automatic over time, almost subconscious.
Totally. And the text emphasizes that trying to change habits just through sheer willpower, it's often a losing battle.
Why is that?
Because willpower is a finite resource. It runs out.
Ah, okay.
The more effective approach is to understand this loop and strategically modify the routine part in response to the signal. But crucially, making sure you still get a similar desired reward.
It makes sense. And for building new habits, the advice seems super practical.
Yeah, start tiny, make the new behavior almost ridiculously easy.
Link it to existing habits you already do automatically.
And this is a big one. Adjust your environment. Make the positive choice the easy or obvious one.
Great habits really do start small, don't they?
Absolutely. The real power comes from consistency, just doing them regularly, even in tiny amounts.
It's that power of accumulation. Drop by drop makes a sea.
Exactly.
Of course, as you're building the stronger self-awareness, mindset, habits, the journey isn't always smooth sailing.
Not at all. The source material is very clear about that. Challenges, obstacles, they're an unavoidable part of the path.
And this is where psychological resilience becomes so vital.
Right. It's that capacity to handle hardship, to fall, yes, but crucially to get back up.
And maybe even emerge stronger, wiser.
That's the idea. Stronger and wiser from the experience.
And it's not about being emotionless, right? Or impervious to pain or sadness.
No. The source highlights that resilient people feel these things deeply, but they have the capacity to process them without letting those emotions completely consume them.
Okay, so how do they do that?
Well, a key principle underlined here is learning to focus your energy on what you can control, your circle of influence.
And consciously letting go of what falls outside that, the circle of concern.
Precisely. Resilient individuals direct their efforts where they can actually make a difference, and they find a way to accept the things they can't change as just part of reality.
That acceptance, though, it isn't passive surrender, is it?
No, it's described as a deep, often hard-won understanding of human limitations. And surprisingly, that frees up enormous amounts of mental energy.
Energy that might otherwise be wasted fighting the inevitable.
Exactly, futile resistance.
So seeing obstacles not as personal attacks, but as challenges with growth opportunities inside them.
That's the core of resilient thinking, yeah. The text offers that analogy of building physical muscle.
Heavy weights build strength.
Right. And in the same way, difficult challenges build resilience. Each one you overcome adds a new layer of internal strength, deepens your confidence for whatever comes next.
Okay, so with that foundation, building awareness, mindset, habits, resilience, the source introduces continuous learning, calls it an absolutely indispensable tool for ongoing growth.
Well, think about it. The world is changing so fast.
True.
The knowledge and skills that served you well even a few years ago might simply not be enough anymore.
So continuous learning here isn't just about cramming facts.
Not at all. It's about cultivating a fundamental curiosity, a constant desire to understand, and a core adaptability.
Meaning staying open to new ideas, being willing to question your own assumptions.
Yeah, proactively seeking out new skills, broadening your perspective on the world.
And the source points out learning takes so many forms. Books, courses, sure, but also
listening intently to people with different expertise. And critically, learning through practical experience, both successes and failures, maybe especially failures.
Right. The thread running through it all seems to be maintaining that thirst for knowledge, seeing every day as a chance to learn something new.
However small, yeah.
And this lifelong learning commitment, it does more than just boost your career.
Oh, absolutely. It profoundly enriches your personal life, expands your understanding of the world, increases your capacity to make a positive contribution.
The source uses that powerful metaphor. A mind that stops learning is like a river that stops flowing.
It quickly becomes stagnant. Yeah.
Okay, so as these different internal layers develop awareness, mindset, habits, resilience, learning the source describes them all sort of converging towards something higher.
Yes, towards an anchoring purpose. Living in alignment with your core values and discovering your unique contribution.
Values, presented as those deep principles that truly guide your choices, your behavior.
And the text notes, when your actions are in sync with those values, you experience this deep sense of inner satisfaction. Peace, even when life is hard.
And discovering your purpose. The source calls this an ongoing journey itself.
It is. It's about figuring out how your particular talents, your abilities, can be used in service of something larger than just yourself.
Whether that's family, community.
Or humanity as a whole, yeah. And what's important is that the text clarifies, this purpose doesn't have to be some grand world-saving mission.
Right. It can be the positive impact you have on people close to you.
Or the deep mastery you pursue in your work. Or the values you consciously try to instill in your kids.
Seeking this purpose, it seems, infuses life with real meaning and depth.
It makes challenges more bearable, achievements sweeter. The source highlights Viktor Frankl's work.
The psychologist and Holocaust survivor.
Right. His insight that the search for meaning is the primary human drive. And that meaning can be found even in extreme suffering, through our attitude, our work, our love for others.
It really underscores that when your sense of purpose goes beyond just you experience a deeper satisfaction.
Absolutely. Gives you strength, helps you face adversity, provides true value to your existence. It's about that powerful alignment, values and abilities working together.
Now, while so much of this journey seems to start inward, the source material is absolutely clear. The full human is fundamentally connected, not isolated.
Yeah, that's a crucial point. Once you've lit that candle of self-awareness inside, the light naturally extends outward to others.
Which brings us right to empathy and compassion.
Central themes. The ability to genuinely feel others' pain and joy, to step into their shoes.
Not to judge, but to understand and maybe help or offer comfort.
Yeah. There's that simple but incredibly deep quote the text includes from the Dalai Lama.
Oh, yeah.
If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion.
Wow. Simple but powerful.
The insight is that true, lasting happiness isn't found in just looking out for number one. It's in opening yourself up to others, actively contributing to their well-being.
The text gives a simple example, right? Seeing someone upset, offering just a kind word, a smile.
A small act of help. It might not change the whole world, but it can absolutely change their world in that moment.
And just as importantly, it changes something in your world too. Plants that warmth, that satisfaction you can't buy.
Exactly. Empathy is presented as the essential bridge connecting human hearts, a language everyone understands.
Okay. And as we continue on this path, the journey also demands a conscious pursuit of wisdom.
Yes, wisdom. And the source makes a really clear distinction here. It's not just about piling up more and more knowledge.
What's the difference then?
Well, knowledge is certainly power, as they say, but wisdom is the guiding force that directs that power towards what's truly good and right.
Okay, so wisdom is described as the ability to tell what's essential from what's superficial.
Yeah, seeing beyond the obvious to hidden truths, understanding what's temporary versus what has lasting value. And the text emphasizes this doesn't just automatically come with age or fancy degrees.
So where does it come from?
It's presented as the fruit of deep, honest reflection on life experience, diligently learning from your mistakes, and maybe most subtly, listening to those quiet voices of conscience and intuition.
The source includes a quote from Imam Ali saying, "The value of every person is what they do well."
And that doing well extends beyond just practical skills. It includes excellence and understanding in dealing with others, in making sound judgments. That's wisdom in action.
And looking at the lives of genuinely wise people, the source suggests that offers invaluable insights.
Not just into what wisdom is, but how it's cultivated, how it's applied. These folks weren't born wise. Their wisdom was forged through experience, challenges, tough choices.
Right. Moving towards maybe the outer layers of human experience, the source says an integral part of achieving full humanity involves finding a role for beauty in your life.
Consciously finding a role for beauty, yeah. And this isn't just defined narrowly, like visual appeal.
No.
It explicitly includes the beauty of ideas, the beauty in creation itself, the deep beauty of the human spirit.
So appreciating beauty in nature, art, noble human relationships. These things nourish the soul.
That's the argument. They nourish the soul, refine your emotions, raise your overall awareness.
Think about those moments, right? Watching a sunset, being moved by music, finding truth in a poem.
The Source describes these as connecting us to something deeper, maybe something higher within ourselves.
It's a powerful reminder that life isn't just a struggle.
Right. It's also a rich opportunity to taste, to create, to celebrate.
The text even brings in that evocative phrase, beauty will save the world.
Suggesting that actively appreciating beauty, seeking to embody it in our actions and thoughts, can be a profound antidote.
An antidote to the world's ugliness and harshness.
Exactly.
So, wow, we've really covered a lot of ground here, haven't we?
We certainly have. Starting with that quiet, essential step of self-awareness.
Moving through mindset, habits, resilience, learning.
Connecting all that personal stuff to our deeper values and purpose.
And then expanding outward connection to others, seeking wisdom, appreciating beauty.
It's a comprehensive view.
It really is. But what really stands out, for me anyway, from the source material is how this journey to full humanity isn't framed as some static destination you finally arrive at.
No, not at all. It's painted as this dynamic, continuous process, unfolding day by day.
Shaped by every conscious choice, every challenge navigated with courage.
Every genuine connection you make.
Precisely. It's not about reaching some perfect finished state. It's more about the state of being in that continuous striving.
With the courage to change, the patience to persevere.
And the humility of someone who knows there's always more to learn, more room to grow.
Yeah. The Source reminds us we are multidimensional beings. Mind, body, emotion, spirit, will, heart.
Capable of transcending limitations, moving towards greater meaning and contribution.
And it brings in that timeless image. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Applying it here to say the journey to full humanity begins by recognizing the inherent sacredness of that potential within you.
And within everyone, yeah. It's a profound perspective shift.
It really is. Which kind of leaves us with this to consider, doesn't it? If the journey itself, with all its inevitable stumbles, its challenges, its continuous learning, if that's the very essence of becoming a more complete human, how can you find beauty and meaning, not just in some future outcome, but in the unfolding process of that journey, right here, right now?
That's a compelling question to carry forward.
Yeah.
There's some food for thought there.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We hope these insights provide some valuable perspective, maybe some inspiration for your own ongoing journey.